Thanks for watching Endgame Economics. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe. It's completely free for you, and it helps us continue making more videos like this.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the totally surprising, kind of hidden economics behind the single most recognizable fast food franchise on the entire planet. We're going to follow the money and map out exactly how this golden empire actually operates.
Okay, let's just get right into it. $1.47 to $2.73 million. That is the staggering total initial investment you'd need to open a brand new, traditional McDonald's right now. Oh, and not to mention, you also need at least $500,000 in unborrowed, liquid cash just to even be considered for an interview. No big deal, right?
And really, this brilliantly illustrates what we can call the illusion of entry. A lot of folks hear about the famous $45,000 franchise fee and they think, hey, that's the hurdle. But honestly, that $45,000 fee is basically just the nightclub cover charge. Your real millions, those are going straight into building the physical restaurant itself.
And this should completely reframe everything you think you know about this business. You won't actually own the building. You won't even own the dirt it sits on. By signing that dotted line, you're essentially buying a tenancy agreement. You fundamentally function as a rent-paying tenant to a quietly ruthless commercial landlord.
So moving into Section 1, the real estate secret and the 1956 discovery.
To truly grasp how this fascinating machine works, we've got to travel back to the mid-50s. The company was barely making a dime on just royalties alone. Enter a finance executive named Harry Sonneborn, who made an incredible, almost unbelievable admission at the time. He said, "We are not technically in the food business. We are in the real estate business." He realized those 15-cent hamburgers were really just the mechanism to collect rent from their tenants. They bought the land, built the buildings, and leased them back to the franchisees at a serious markup.
And here is the absolute genius of that mechanism. McDonald's started charging franchisees either a fixed base rent or a percentage of their sales, whichever is higher. Really think about what that means. McDonald's wins on the floor if you struggle by collecting that base rent, but they automatically collect more as your hustle drives your sales up. It's built-in inflation protection, entirely paid for by someone else's hard work.
Decades of this strategy resulted in a simply massive number. Today, McDonald's is sitting on nearly $37.7 billion of real estate. That's almost 99% of the company's total assets. Meaning, the company selling you a Big Mac is mostly a property empire wearing a clown costume.
All right, Section 2, the monthly money drain, or what leaves before the beef.
The crucial point here is how this corporate structure extracts money from your specific restaurant on a monthly basis, long before you see a single dime. Let's break down a typical location pulling in $3 million in sales. Roughly 18.7% of that instantly evaporates. Poof! You're losing about 10.7% to rent, a 4% service fee just to use the brand, and a mandatory 4% advertising fee. That money walks straight out the door before you've even bought a single hamburger patty, paid your staff, or turned on the lights.
With all these heavy fees automatically coming off your top-line sales, plus rising labor costs and mandatory corporate upgrades continuously draining the registers, well, it forces us to ask the literal million-dollar question. What does the operator actually get to keep at the end of the year?
Let's look at Section 3, Take-Home Profit and Single-Store Economics. While recent models do suggest higher ranges, sometimes up to $500,000 depending on the location, the historically cited single-store profit has hovered right around $150,000 a year. Let that sink in. That is a gut-punch net margin of under 6% on millions of dollars in sales and a $2 million upfront investment.
So how does anyone actually get rich doing this? Well, the secret to generational wealth here isn't the single burger stand. The average franchisee actually operates roughly 8 locations. The real play is scaling up to an 8-store empire to multiply that modest margin into millions, and then eventually selling the whole operation down the line.
Comparing these numbers perfectly highlights the unique nature of this model. When we put McDonald's next to Chick-fil-A, you see two completely different games being played. McDonald's plays a game of immense scale and high entry costs, betting entirely on volume. Chick-fil-A, on the other hand, runs a tighter, highly profitable single-unit ship with a tiny entry fee. But they keep almost all the upside for themselves and won't let you own an empire.
Which brings us to Section 4, the franchise gauntlet and the wild interview.
Because even if you have millions in liquid cash ready to go, getting handed the keys is one of the strangest ordeals in capitalism. You don't just buy a store,
You have to survive a brilliant but absolutely brutal filter. You undergo a rigorous financial check. Then, you actually work unpaid for months, taking orders in a drive-thru while being silently evaluated. You have to graduate from the accredited corporate hamburger university, and the final kicker? You don't even get to pick your restaurant. You ultimately must accept whatever location their corporate real estate algorithm assigns to you. Wild, right?
This leads us to Section 5, the modern value war and the 2025 squeeze.
Once you've survived that incredible gauntlet, you are thrust directly into the brutal economic standoff happening right now between corporate and its franchisees. As economic strains squeezed consumers in late 2023, visits wobbled. So in response, corporate went to war on price, rolling out aggressive $5 meal deals. By early 2026, they introduced enhanced global standards that effectively grade franchisees on their pricing compliance, threatening to penalize operators who don't discount hard enough.
Looking impartially at the result, we see a fascinating split. The parent company saw triumphant multi-billion-dollar revenue growth, hitting nearly $140 billion in global system-wide sales, mainly because they collect those royalties on sheer volume. Meanwhile, the store operators absorbed the painful financial hit of those steep discounts, walking a total razor's edge to stay solvent while their margins shrank.
Consequently, this tension has fundamentally fractured the relationship. By early 2026, when an analyst surveyed franchisees to rate their relationship with their corporate partner on a scale of 1 to 5, the average score plunged to an unprecedented 1.37. Yeah, that is not good.
So, what is the final verdict? Well, in the end, the whole system is a paradox. On one hand, it's arguably the safest bet in America, with an unbelievable 0.5% failure rate and a 70-year proven system for predictable cash flow at scale. But on the other hand, it operates as a gilded cage. You're handing over 18% or more in total fees, giving up your autonomy, and eating the margin pressure in corporate value wars where someone else writes all the rules.
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought to chew on. Is the safety of the Golden Arches the ultimate path to generational wealth? Or is it just paying millions of dollars for a seat in an incredible machine where you can never truly reach the controls? Think about that next time you pull up to the drive-thru. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope it completely transformed how you see the business of burgers and real estate.